Hey, what's up everybody? Jamie here, and it's What the Tech Wednesday, where we talk about the latest in consumer electronics, technology, computers, the internet, mobile phones, web apps, and everything in between. As always, links to all of the clips that we're going to show here in this video will be in the description below. Okay, I'm going to say it. In these challenging times.
During these difficult times.
In these troubled times.
Challenging times.
Trying times.
In these times of uncertainty.
During this time of great uncertainty.
During these uncertain times.
During these uncertain times.
In uncertain times.
In uncertain times.
Uncertain times.
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
I know, you've probably heard that 100,000 times on TV, haven't you? Anyway, in these challenging times, you might be looking for ways to entertain yourself beyond streaming TV shows on Netflix and movies and all the things that you can watch on TV. I mean, haven't we all watched everything on Netflix yet? Well, the one thing that has been really helpful and really a saving grace for me is rediscovering my favorite music. I've been catching up on all my favorite artists. They're making music from home as well. We've got lots of great videos of them online, of them trying to be creative at home. But I'm a big fan of the streaming music services and the ones that you can even download the music onto your phone while you're going out and exercising. And there are lots of podcasts I want to catch up with. I'm trying to get outside and get moving more. So wireless earbuds are really convenient. But I don't like spending a lot of money on them. So let's take a look at some top-rated cheap earbuds available right now. Lexy from CNET tests out some of the ones here, and then she compares the sound and call quality.
There are a lot of wireless earbuds out there, but let's be honest, most of the big brands are over $100, and ain't nobody got cash for that, or at least I don't. So I found you 4 earbuds under $40. All of the buds that I've chosen range from around $29 through to $40. Yes, there are cheaper options. You can go like $5 or $10 if you troll through some sites, but I don't know about you, I don't really want to think about putting $5 wireless earbuds in my ears. So the reason I've chosen these ones is because they're all highly rated and they are from bigger name brands. So let's take a look at them from cheapest to most expensive. So the 4 buds that I have for you are the JLab Go Air, the Let's Fit T13, the Soundpeats True Free Plus, and the Edifier TWS1. Okay, all out of the box now. I've connected them to an Android phone. No problems there whatsoever with any of them. So now let's take a listen and see some first impressions of what they sound like and what they feel like in the ear. Get them the right way around first though. These ones, first up, are the JLab Go Airs. Stick them in. They feel okay. They feel quite big in my ears though, first impressions. I think I might need to get smaller ear tips. But their seal it's pretty decent. Like it's blocking out a lot of the external noise. Yeah, I'll get to the bass now. It's not bad. I'm pretty impressed. $29? Yeah, they're pretty decent. Okay. These ones are the Let's Fit. Definitely feel more elongated. I can feel for sure that stem poking down, but they're lighter in the ear than the other ones, than the JLabs. All right, let's take a listen to a track. Already I can only hear through the right earbud. The left one's like, where are you? Hello? Hello? Okay, let's put them back into the case and see if I can get them synced back properly. And again, still only the right bud. I can only hear through the right. But from what I can hear on just the right earbud, it's not bad, but I kind of want to hear both. I'm going to experiment more and I'll report back. Next up is the Soundpeats. Now I should say that none of these I've charged, they're all straight out of the box. So I'm working with whatever battery they have. So that might have affected this. I'm definitely going to charge them up properly and then let you know. All right, so the Soundpeats next, same track. Already, like they create a much better seal in my ear. And the sound, sorry if I'm shouting right now, but the sound is actually surprisingly really good. Like the start of the track, there's some good definition and it just feels like a wider spectrum than the other two. Woo, that bass. Woo. Yeah, they're actually like kind of really nice just to listen to on default settings with like a bass heavy track. I'm surprised, they sound really good. I could be here all day listening to those ones. And lucky last, the most expensive of the bunch, these are the edifiers. These ones feel like the most compact in my ears than all of the rest of them already. And they're lighter too, so they don't feel like they're kind of heavy and weighing my ear down. Connected, oh, she's shouting in my ear. Okay. So there's like the left one's working in this one now, not the right one. So I could take the left one of this one and the right one of the Let's Fit, and I'll have a fully functioning pair. I definitely need to investigate more whether it's a battery issue or whether I just need to resync by putting them back in. Let's try that again. All right, now I can hear the right one. Hey, here we go. Connected. Oh yeah, I heard a beep. Okay, there we go. We're in business, baby. All right. So it's not like as in your face as the Soundpeats one, which was like a real wall of sound. These ones sound like, I think, a little bit more balanced overall, not as like full up front. The bass isn't like as punchy, but that might work better for certain genres. This one's just like a super bass heavy track. Okay, those were just some initial impressions of listening for a couple of moments straight out of the box without tweaking any settings, without even changing the default ear tips. So initial impressions, I think that they all sounded decent. I'm actually genuinely surprised that the cheapest ones didn't sound terrible. I think for me overall, like the most wow factor was from the Soundpeats. It just had like way more vibrant bass and it was very full. The Edifier though was a little bit more balanced, so I think that might sound better for different genres of music. But enough talk, I'm gonna go and use them for a week and come back and tell you all of my impressions about these buds. All right, I'll see you in a week. I crawl off.
So graceful.
All right, so with these $40 and under earbuds, there are going to be some compromises. Let's not beat around the bush. You are not going to get the same audio and call quality as you would from a more expensive pair. But I think there are some really good value buds in this bunch. The ones that I would choose if I was primarily looking for music and calls, I think it's going to be the Let's Fit T13. They might not be as comfortable for some ears, but I think the compromise is there if you wanted to have that ultimate combination of jumping between calls and listening to music, and it sounds pretty balanced. If I only wanted to listen to music, I would choose the Soundpeats. It just sounds vibrant, more exciting, very bassy, and I just wanted to listen to music much more on these than any of the others. And if I was on Android and I wanted kind of rock steady connectivity and the most balanced sound, I would choose the Edifiers. The JLabs, like cheap and cheerful is what I will say about these. They have a couple of issues. I really like the case. The sound isn't my favorite, but I think if you just wanted a pair of really casual earbuds that you can just throw in a bag and hopefully not lose them in the bag because there's no cover, then they can definitely fit the bill.
Okay, so that covers us when we're going outside or listening privately. What if you're inside? You're just jamming to some music while you're doing the dishes, or you just want a great smart speaker for around the house. And you know, one of those Bluetooth speakers that's got the built-in voice assistant like Amazon Echo or Google Assistant. Well, CNET has brought us the smart home expert, Andrew Gephardt, to find out what smart speakers reign supreme against the others. The Google Nest Mini, the Amazon Echo Dot, the Apple HomePod, or the Sonos One. These four speakers compete for the crown. And a quick note, this video was shot before social distancing measures were in place.
People, we're looking for the bestest smart speaker in the world. I'm Ayaz Akhtar with our expert, Andrew Gephardt. We're gonna judge these smart speakers on 4 different factors: sound quality, smart home compatibility, general IQ, and value. Here are our 4 competitors: Apple HomePod, Sonos One, Amazon Echo Dot, and Google Nest Mini. All right, Andrew, these devices vary quite a bit in price. Why these 4?
So these are sort of the best smart speakers that we've recommended
to people for a variety of different reasons. And so when we're thinking about smart speakers, we wanted the standouts from the category, and these all are really good smart speakers in their own right. So we brought them here to compare them, even though it kind of looks like comparing apples to oranges, but they're really good. They just serve different needs.
Okay, our first round is sound quality. These devices are physically very different. I'd imagine the sound quality kind of goes along with that. Andrew, what'd you find out? Did you find out that the Mini is the best sounding one of the bunch?
I mean, if you hold it really close to your ear, it's really booming. It should sound great. Did you hear the C when you did that?
It was delightful.
Okay, cool. No, obviously not. These two are way worse in terms of sound quality than these two, as you'd probably expect. The HomePod, it was marketed first as a speaker, and its smarts were second, and it has IQ in there to tailor the sound of the room, and then Sonos is a speaker company, so of course this thing sounds really good. These guys are much smaller, they're much more affordable, and they serve needs other than sound quality. In terms of the actual sound that comes out of these, it's fine.
Beyond hearing the voice assistants in here, you'll be listening to music. How do these guys handle music streaming services?
So these three are all pretty much the same, which is to say they work with a wide variety of different services. If you like streaming on Spotify or Pandora, you're going to be in luck on all three. This one works with Apple Music and Amazon Music. It has a pretty good deal and maybe the most robust catalog, but you're probably going to be happy with any of the three of these depending on what music service you use. Apple, as is the case with Apple, is pretty restrictive in terms of what you can have on there. Just Apple Music.
I mean, you could always use Bluetooth to
stream your own thing. Yeah.
What about if you wanted to set up like a stereo pair? Do these speakers support that?
Yeah, all of them do actually. So at first, it was just this one, but they've slowly rolled out that compatibility across the board towards these different things. Again, these two don't sound as good in general, so the stereo pair is also not going to sound as good, but you can get stereo sound out of any of them if you have two and want to put them on either side of you and walk, around your house with them like a boombox. Actually, you can't. You have to plug them all in, but you can make a stereo pair out of any of them.
All right, who do you have as the winner for sound quality?
So the Apple HomePod sounds the best, especially if you're talking regardless of price. They knew what they were doing, the way that the sound interacts with the room, it sounds really good.
So the winner of this round is the Apple HomePod. Now before our next round, let's explain why we flew Andrew in all the way from the great state of Kentucky.
Andrew Gebhardt is a multi-platform journalist. He's been with CNET for over half a decade. In those years, Andrew has seen the smart home category grow with more and more products getting smarts. Andrew does his best to figure out what is worth buying while testing in the CNET Smart Home. The Smart Home is a living lab which allows for immersive testing. Outside of that, Andrew enjoys rooting for the Detroit Red Wings and mispronouncing the word bagel.
How do you say bagel?
Bagel. It's fantastic.
As it should be, apparently.
Yeah. I'm standing by this.
He's our expert, so we have to listen to him. Let's go to round two, please. Smart home compatibility. Andrew, could you define that for us, please?
Sure. It's how well the smart speakers work with the devices in your smart home, how intuitive it is to control smart home gadgets, and how many different types of smart home gadgets that they work with.
Now, lots and lots of devices have become much more smart. What kind of devices do these work with?
So you can find any category of device that works with any of the smart assistants. So this one obviously has the Google Assistant, this one has Amazon's Assistant, this one is Siri, and then this one actually works with both Google and Amazon, so you sort of get the best of both worlds. Amazon is sort of in the lead in terms of numbers, like it works with tens of thousands of different devices, but Google has functionally caught up, which is to say that any device you're going to find in the store is going to work with both. They comparing like the iOS App Store with the Android Store. iOS still has more, but how many apps are you actually going to use? The main ones are going to work with both, and then this one's going to have the advantage of if you do find one that doesn't work with one versus the other, you can switch back and forth here. So Apple HomePod works with the fewest. It's still functional. You can still find a variety of categories. So here we're talking light bulbs, we're talking smart locks, we're talking smart cameras, we're talking shades, we're talking all kinds of devices that you might want to smarten up. Basically anything with electronics in your home you can make smart somehow or the other. And some even dumb things you can plug into, like a smart switch, and control that with these gadgets as well.
So I'm going to assume that the HomePod is not the winner on this one.
No, it's definitely not. It is fine, especially if you're really invested in Apple's ecosystem. It's pretty good. The app is pretty good. It's easy enough to set up, but these work with way more devices. And really, I think I'd call the winner this one because it has both of the assistants built in here.
So the winner here, this one, is
the Sonos One.
The Sonos One. Let's talk a little bit about privacy. Now, these speakers are taking voice commands. That means they're listening. What should people know about that?
So they're always listening devices, but in theory, they're only going to be recording after you say the wake words for the various speakers. So it's really not going to end up being more invasive in your home than the cell phone you have in your pocket that has a microphone and a GPS tracker on it anyway, but it's still, you know, cause for concern, I guess, for some people. But all the companies have privacy policies where you can opt out of what you're sharing and everything like that. Apple actually probably gets some bonus points here because their walled garden approach means that every device that works with the Apple HomePod has to go through like their rigorous security protocols, whereas these guys allow a much wider variety. So it makes building an Apple HomeKit ecosystem a little bit more difficult because you have just so much more options here, but it is maybe a little bit more secure. Still, we're not seeing that much in terms of breaches and everything like that with these devices. And again, they're not listening unless you say the wake words, and all of them have a mute button if you really don't want them listening to a conversation.
Yeah, the Mini actually has a physical switch.
Yeah.
That you actually turn off the microphone. I really do find that more comforting than hitting a software button or just a little tap button.
Yeah.
But that is definitely something that if you are worried about privacy, you can mute this. You don't always have to have it on. All right, so let's go to our next round. Smart speakers are not just for home control. They can do way more. Let's talk about general IQ.
Sure. So a smart speaker can tell jokes. A smart speaker can, if you ask about the weather or your calendar, they can tell you where the closest place to eat is if you're hungry. So they have a large variety of responses to questions, from everything about your day to just general trivia. And yes, so there can be handy assistance in a lot of ways other than controlling your smart home.
What about shopping?
So you can shop on these devices as well, and you can verify your purchases with the sound of your voice if you want, but you want to be comfortable with that because none of them have that great of voice recognition. Still, you can do it, and the best one at shopping is the Amazon Echo Dot because it works with Amazon.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that store.
Yeah, it's a fairly famous online retailer that some people might have heard of. But Google has shopping services too. Google Express, which became Google Shopping, works with retailers like Walmart and Target and Best Buy. So you can do plenty of shopping on here as well. So yes, shopping is an option, probably with the advantage to the Echo Dot. But I generally think in terms of overall IQ, Google is just better at understanding a wider variety of commands. Like Amazon can still get tripped up and Siri can still misunderstand what you're saying from time to time. So Google is the one that just will understand your question and be able to give you a cogent response more often than not.
Now, two of these devices have Google Assistant. Which one are you picking as the winner?
I'm going to take the Nest Mini, which is the first-party Google device. It's going to get updates a little bit faster. This is still going to respond if you've equipped Google Assistant pretty much as well, but since I'm giving credit to Google, I'm going to give credit all the way to Google and take the Nest Mini.
You know, I'm starting to feel bad for the HomePod.
I mean, it won sound quality. It's just, it's also here for all the rest of the categories.
Well, Apple did say it's a speaker first.
Speaker first.
That's what it is. So the Google Nest Mini takes this round. Let's look at value. Two of these smart speakers retail for $50. The other two, it's a tiny bit more. What do you look for in value beyond the price tag, Andrew?
I mean, you'd have to stack these, though, several times to get the height of the Sonos One. So if you think of them as several dots packaged together, then maybe it's a little bit closer. But price is obviously a big consideration. And then the thing with value is that if you're not looking for sound quality, there's no reason to go with one of these guys, because you get all of the smarts, so that general IQ, the smart home control in these for way less, and that $50 price tag is what they're listed for. You're almost never gonna have to pay even that. They're almost always on sale for less. So these are a leaps and bounds better value than these guys. These guys sound significantly better, but you get that great smart assistance, you get the great capabilities of a smart speaker, which helps bring the smart home together and make it easier to control for a really easy splurge.
So if you're going to splurge, maybe not spend $300 and $200 if you really want an assistant.
Absolutely not. If all you're looking for is that smart assistance, one of these two, the Nest Mini or the Echo Dot, is a significantly better bet because you're losing none of that. And in fact, these guys have much better assistance in terms of responsiveness and IQ and smart home compatibility than Siri. And even though this one has both, you're still paying a premium.
Okay, so who do you got as the winner when it comes to value?
I'm gonna go with the Echo Dot. It narrowly edges the Nest Mini here. They're both sort of neck and neck, but this one you find on sale a little bit more often, and especially now, Amazon has a new Echo Dot with clock out, that it's basically this exact same thing with a clock on the front. It's fine, but that means you can sometimes find this one cheaper a little bit more often.
Amazon gives this stuff away at times. If you buy one device, they give you another one. Here's a Dot for nothing. They're just gonna be littering the streets one day. So the winner of this round in value is the Amazon Echo Dot. Now, after all 4 rounds of competition, the best smart speaker is the Amazon Echo Dot. Now, here's what makes the Echo Dot the champ. Amazon's assistant is really smart. It works with a ton of smart home stuff. It's really easy to set up, and it's pretty affordable at less than $50.
$50 or find it for less. Don't pay $50 because you can usually find it for less.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Andrew?
Sure. So this is a narrow winner over this guy, and if you prefer the Google Assistant, there's no reason not to go with the Nest Mini. And if you want sound quality in your smart speaker, you should go with something like the Sonos One for the wide compatibility. And if you really love the Apple HomePod. Again, all 4 of these are actually really good in their own right. It's just for the most people, if you're just going out shopping, Echo Dot's sort of the one to grab.
Or you could spend $100 and buy both of them and forget these guys.
And there you go. And then your needs are met, whichever assistant you want to pick.
All right, let's talk about some technical stuff and what's happening in the world of video conferencing. Everyone's new favorite thing to groan about doing too much of. And in particular, let's get an update on Zoom, everyone's favorite web app for video conferencing. At least everyone's favorite that they love to complain about, of course. So here are some new security feature upgrades for Zoom, brand new, hot off the proverbial electronic press, as they say. Does anybody say that? I don't think they do. Anyway, our good friend Steve Dotto fills us in on new changes in a brand new Dotto Tech video.
Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? And today we're going to take a look at Zoom's upgraded 5.0 client, which has a bevy of new security features. They've been rolling them out slowly and upgrading their Zoom client over the last month or so, but this is a fairly major upgrade with one major and significant improvement. Now, Zoom has been responding to mercurial growth. They've been exploding in popularity as the world has shut down and more meetings have gone online in response to the COVID pandemic. So Zoom has been, as fast as they can, I imagine, rolling out new security updates addressing shortcomings within the application that they've been stress tested like never before, I guess. Well, if you visit your Zoom account right now, you will see that Zoom 5.0 is now available, and they are encouraging us to upgrade as quickly as possible. In fact, they are saying that previous versions of Zoom won't be supported after the end of this month, which is May 2020, if you happen to be watching this video a little bit later. So all that you have to do is basically click and go to their download center, and you can download the new client for the operating system which you happen to have. And they've got several different add-ons or several different downloads that you can do. It's not just going to be one download because we're using Zoom in multiple locations. So obviously you're going to want to download the Zoom for your basic Zoom client. If you have the Microsoft add-on or you're using the browser extensions, if you're using mobile apps and different plugins, make sure that you download all of the appropriate updates for Zoom 5.0 because this is as I said, a fairly significant upgrade. If we go in and we take a look at their explanation, which we will share the link in the description, they're saying Zoom 5.0 is here, and there is one major change, and they tell us right away. That is, we now have end-to-end encryption from something called GCM encryption. Now, what does this mean? It means that in the past, if somebody intercepted our video call midstream somehow, if they had some technology so that they could interrupt it, they could actually see us having the conversation kind of in plain, I'm going to say plain English, but it could be in any language. But they would be able to see it without it being encrypted in any way, shape, or form. But now with end-to-end encryption, it means that only people with the client software on both ends will be able to see the actual video call take place and to participate. So nobody can spy on you anymore once you upgrade to Zoom 5.0. If you're both clients, both ends are using this encryption software, meaning it's end-to-end, right? It has to happen in both sides. So that's why Zoom is pushing this forward as quickly as possible to get everybody using it. As you scroll down the page, you'll see that they indeed want to make sure that we have it all done before May 30th. And at that point they're going to disable support for the previous versions. So it'll be important to do it. And you'll be getting notifications in multiple locations if you're a little bit tardy, I imagine. There's a few other enhancements that they've done, and they've been rolling most of these out over the past couple of weeks. We actually covered some of them in an earlier video, but it's worth recapping now because we are on topic. So the new things that they've added, most of them will appear to the average user right in the user controls right at the bottom, where you can now report a user. There's some changes to how the waiting room happens, which I will touch on in more detail, as well as the ability to lock meetings and remove participants. If we jump over into the Zoom software, now I've upgraded to Zoom 5.0 here. It looks the same. Actually, it might look a little bit different. I think that end button is different than it used to be for the meeting. I'm not 100% positive, but it seems to me that it's new. Along the bottom here, you see all of our different meeting options. Now, if you don't see any of these options on your version of Zoom, you can probably enable them if you go into your Zoom software. If you go into your Zoom software in your browser, you just go into your Zoom account, and there when you go into the settings, you can modify the different settings and what displays within that menu bar at the bottom. A lot of people don't have some different options. For example, they look at mine and they say, oh, you have breakout rooms. I don't have them. That's because I turned on breakout rooms in my settings. So if you see something here that you don't have, just go check and you probably have it available to you if you choose to enable it. But the changes that we're talking about and the significant ones around security cluster around these two menu items right here. The first is the security button, which allows you to lock the meeting once the meeting's in process. That's just like locking the door on a regular meeting. Nobody else can get in once it's started. You can also manage the meeting room here. Now, for most users, the meeting room is now by default enabled. In other words, if you start a meeting and then you don't pay attention to what's going on, you'll be having crickets because nobody can get into the meeting until you admit them to the meeting from the waiting room. They're all going to be held in this waiting room and they won't be part of the meeting. How do you get them in the meeting? What you do is you click on this participants button here and that will pop out the sidebar, which will allow you to then be able to control all of your different participants. You can turn on and off their microphones, but the meeting room will appear right here at the very top of this window. You can also, if you choose to, you can disable the meeting room manually, which will then allow anybody who enters with the meeting ID to come straight into the room. That's your choice. You can do that, but as I say, it's by default, it is going to be turned on, so you'll have to make sure that you turn it off or that you admit people into your meeting in order to have people actually in the meeting. Another change that they've made is mid-meeting, you can re-enable the meeting room. You can turn it back, the waiting room. You can turn it back on, and then to have people after you've started the meeting, you can then admit them on a case-by-case basis if you choose to. It's a little bit different than locking the meeting, which just shuts them out and doesn't give them the option to get in at all. So those are some of the big changes as far as the meeting room and those security settings are concerned.
All right, so that'll be it for What the Tech this week. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints about what we're doing here at What the Tech, feel free to drop us a comment below or drop us a line at CLA, Community Learning Alternatives. That's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And check us out next week for more videos from CLA, Community Learning Alternatives. Thanks for watching.